here with my husband John, and we're talking about why too much fun is just barely enough. And I know that sounds like an unusual topic for people who claim to love God with all their heart, soul, strength, and mind, and be serving Him and serving other people. It sounds kind of selfish, but we've actually found that that motto, that principle, is really important for us over the long haul. So I think we'll start out with me asking John to tell you a little bit about his thoughts about that.
Thank you, Mary. You know, a few years ago, I found myself wanting to explore a little further how I could be restoring and refreshing my soul on a more consistent basis. And a really significant book I read was called The Rest of God by an author called Mark Buchanan. And in it, he has a chapter about playfulness. And I can't ever remember reading a chapter about playfulness and the significance of it. But he was explaining that God created us in a way that we have this need for enjoyment and this desire to have fun and explore and to initiate with Him and with each other. All these things create deeper intimacy. And he wrote that one of the first things that goes when we become adults is playfulness. That, you know, we live in a life of a lot of obligations, a lot of responsibilities. The world isn't always a fun place. And yet he was speaking of the significance of spiritual health is this component of being able to play well. And so that was the beginning of my journey in this theology of joy and playfulness, if you will.
For me, as many of you know, I had a chronic illness and still have it under much more control. But many years ago, I was very debilitated by fibromyalgia. And at that time, I started to learn how one of the things that helps us physically is when our brains are producing the biochemicals that cause us to feel like we're having fun and we're positive and we're upbeat. And so as I was studying more about that, I found that our physical health is actually greatly improved when we're having fun because it causes us to produce dopamine, endorphins, serotonin. So I started to see there's a really practical reason for having fun and doing things that are really pleasurable, and that it causes us to be healthier, not only emotionally, of course, but physically. And so John and I started using that strategy as a way to add to my health regimen for getting better and better, and it really did help. I think we're learning more and more how much stress affects us negatively and affects our health negatively. And playing and having fun is actually counteracting the stress that we feel. So that's one of the very practical reasons why John and I started employing this. And it's funny that we have to actually talk ourselves into having fun and doing enjoyable things, that we have to find a practical reason regarding it. But that has been a really important part for us of maintaining our overall physical health, emotional health, and of course that helps maintain our spiritual health.
We all recognize that we often carry many burdens, many struggles, many emotional things, obligations, responsibilities, and those things can get really heavy and they can weigh on us. In addition, some of you live in places of the world that is very difficult, very hard circumstances. And this is not to make light of any of that at all, but what we are recommending and what we have experienced is it is valuable to consider how do we cultivate this aspect of our life, of our walk with the Lord and our relationship with each other, with this idea of being able to play and have that childlike faith and that childlike experience with the Lord. Even though we're adults and living in a very serious world.
Yes, we both interact with people all over the world. We know that even in the darkest areas of the world where it's kind of sparse and more scarce to find enjoyable things to do, there are still things that people find to do outdoors. There are things that, as we're creative, we enjoy. So wherever you are, whatever your circumstances, and if your health's not good, as mine has been, at times I still can find those things that bring that spark of enjoyment. So we want to encourage you with the importance of that and how God created so many wonderful things in life for us to enjoy, whether you're married, single, whatever your circumstances. So we're going to pause here and we will create the next video with some practical ideas of what we do for fun to give you a launching place for some things that you might do as well.